Good morning, good morning. What's up, folks? Let me get the live stream in our Discord started. Go. Good morning, good morning. What's up, folks? What's up, Dawn? What's up, Navy Plum? PJ. We'll be connecting on some mentoring soon. Looking forward to that. Sataru, what's up, buddy? Strife. Good to see you all here. All right, let me get my screen sharing started here. Go live. All right, let me take a look at what's up, PJ. Good morning. All right, let me saw the economic data just dropped as far as core PCE, income, spending, all that sort of stuff. Everything came in, right, and jobless claims. Sorry, everything came in. I'd say economically a little bit under expectations as far as jobless claims were slightly higher than previously in the forecast. PCE is actually the only thing that came in economically or from an inflationary standpoint a little bit better than the previous and the forecast, but not by a ton. Income and spending were both down. Spending was down quite a bit from the previous reading and the forecast by about half. So that's some interesting data there. Let's take a look at ES here on a more granular time frame, see what the market thinks or how it's reacting to that. It's been kind of a interesting close to November, and as we get ready to roll into December tomorrow, one thing I've been looking at is sort of, are we still waiting on a Santa rally, or has that kind of already happened? I guess is probably where the one question that I'm still kind of rolling around in my brain right now. We're clearly in an area of heavy selling pressure. We've talked about both these levels and all of this supply here that we're currently trying to fight through. So, it's going to be kind of weird price action I'm anticipating until either things break down and start to move a little bit more to the downside. I'd say probably below this 45, 47 level, or breaks all the way through this 4609 level. So, anywhere in this range, I feel like things can just be a little bit less reliable on follow through and things like that. So, all that being said is kind of just a word of caution to, kind of maybe play things a little bit smaller as we go into the close of the year. Personally, for me, just historically, December's never been a heavy trading month or an overly successful trading month for me for whatever reason. So, don't let my my issues impact what you decide to do or your success rate. But just kind of a word of caution, word to the wise, especially for those kind of newer to trading who maybe haven't gone through some of these sort of end of year type things. We can see all kinds of sort of strange things happening with price action as people prepare to essentially close the books for 2023 and get ready for 2024. So one thing, and where I was kind of digress there a little bit. What I was looking at here is kind of just this, we have had a big rally throughout the month of November. I mean, really kind of starting at the end of October and just sort of continually spiking up this whole way right up into, again, this key area. The reason why I think this is a key area is if you look at where the last kind of rally-based rally to the downside rejection happened, or last couple have happened, they've both come in this range. But this one here that dropped us quite a bit from 4609 really all the way down to almost really just below 4400. And then again, we saw here, which this was a much bigger drop that got triggered back in September, that took us all the way down to 4200, and then we had another drop even lower back in October. So, again, we've seen some major issues in this area. We've been in the midst of a major run-up into this area. So again, I would say be very careful being overly aggressive, swinging bullish positions, or just trying to buy every dip, because things may not necessarily bounce. It could be more likely that we see chop in some of those cases. Just again, be methodical, be smart about it. That's my 2 cents on it. But don't let me totally, again, upend your trade psychology going into December if you have goals and approaches that work for you in mind. All right, what's up, Chris? Good morning to you, and good morning to everybody else who's popped in since I kind of hopped on my soapbox there for a moment. So let's dig into reviewing some trade plans, and then we'll get to the requests that I see already coming in this morning. PJ asking for a spot. We might be able to take a look at Tesla or Apple, so all or nothing. If you have a favorite between those two that you really want to put on, let me know. And we'll probably also try to get to coin. I think we can get to 3 if we go quick enough. So let's dig in. Just some recaps here, looking at this AMD trade plan that we did for the member selected tickers. Also some interesting news with them, an expansion into India, and trying to, I think, to kind of assist in further development of their AI semiconductor chip range that they're trying to develop. So it's been kind of an interesting one to watch overall. I haven't really loved what these breaks either above our call entry or below this stop loss. So if you did take the call entry, ultimately bounced right at the bottom of this bullish Neptune flag, which is where I would expect things to bounce. We could see it start to make higher lows from here. I think that was just a big run up and people started taking profit because it was such an accelerated move on some of that news that came out about their expansion into India. So still keeping an eye on this one, though. Really liking it if it can break through this 125.27 local resistance, even back here from yesterday's high a day. Over that, I think we see probably pretty good moves to the upside on NVIDIA, wrong damn ticker, AMD, other semiconductor stock. So make sure you keep an eye on this one and this trade plan, which is posted in our watch list channel for you guys. I posted that on Sunday. What FBI? What's up? Can you look at IWM? Yeah, we can take a quick look at IWM. We actually have a trade plan on that one as well. It, again, kind of experienced that weirdness that SPY experienced yesterday, and I think some of that was driven by some comments that one of the Fed members was making. So again, we were in a little bit of a news-driven market to some extent, but I will always say charts will precede the news. Unfortunately, yesterday just was kind of a little bit of a fake out to the upside, both on SPY and IWM from what I saw, but downside plans played out and more than made up for the loss on the upside. So here's Meta. This was another one we did during member selected tickers over the weekend. Rejected off our stop loss average down level from our trade plan over the weekend, and really ran all the way down to our put entry level, and then finally found support, which is about where we would have expected to find some support. So holding up so far, trying to bounce back over this 333.34 level. To me, though, it looks like if it can break over 335.78, we've got some confluence overhead there with those moving averages. Could see continuation probably back up to that 340 level. So another kind of potential trade opportunity, adjusting the levels that you see on my charts to execute a different type of plan. And if you did take that approach on a break over 335.78, I'd be looking at a stop loss average down there at 333.34. So that's Meta. IoT we did on Tuesday's live stream. We did it live on this stream, including, I think, probably drawing out our... No, we've done IoT before. I remember Chris has asked about this one a couple of times. Chris, have you played this one, buddy? It was kind of a fast move to the upside, so it might have been a little bit hard to catch the timing, but ultimately pushed up near PT2 before we saw any kind of rejection. It's continued to push higher, getting very close to our third target at 29.02. I also mentioned in the chat yesterday, I think over 28, this does have the potential to go all the way up here to this 30.97 price target. So continue to keep an eye on this one. Again, 29.02. There is, I believe, a gap to fill there, so could see a rejection there. Potentially, I would definitely book some profits if you're currently in this one. But again, overall, longer term, bigger bigger and kind of more near term, I would say, over 2801, I'm really kind of eyeballing that $31 level. So, um, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Hope you banked on it. Um, and then last but not least, Nvidia. This one we did, I think, yeah, Tuesday during the live stream. Did get some pretty convincing breakdowns, but ultimately pushed back up and validated the downside trade plan, as well as broke over this trend line that we were looking at there kind of overnight. So, again, that's why it's kind of very challenging to swing in this market right now, and especially going into the month of December. Things just moves just I feel like there's just not a lot of follow through this time of year for whatever reason. At least that's been my experience in the last couple of years. So that being said, ultimately did break back up to the upside. Nice bounce there though off the put entry support level at 478.68, trying to break back above 483.40 here. So continue to keep this one on watch. The levels are reacting well. Targets were maybe a little too far, but again, we've got to, if we're going to get into a trade, we've got to, be in it to make some good money and not just sort of waste our buying power, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, keep NVIDIA on watch. And then somebody asked about IWM. I know that was not the first request, but we already have a trade plan on it, so we can just circle back and recap it real quick since it was asked about. And again, I mentioned this with SPY. We kind of saw the same thing here with IWM yesterday as far as this breakout to the upside, hit resistance here, but didn't ultimately hit the first price target before it did break back down below the stop loss average down level for that upside trade plan and invalidated the plan. So, again, just weird price action yesterday. And again, I think some of that may have been driven by those comments. I forget which Fed member it was, but by one of the Fed members that they were making on some hot mic somewhere. Then we might have seen the follow through we were expecting. But that being said, it's sort of back in the range. I'd say, stick to the plan that we put out on Sunday for this one. Still looking for that break over 180.85 with that target up there at 182.41. I think second time will certainly be the charm if we get back over that level again. Could have been barking. Yeah, I don't. Unfortunately, the economic calendar kind of drops off the days that have already passed, so I don't remember off the top of my head, and I don't have a good reference to pull the name from, but it could have been barking. Yeah. All right, so let's get to some of these new trade plans. I think that's pretty adequate for recaps and touching on the IWM request that. Oh boy, who was that? Why did I lose it? FBI was asking about. So let's go to spot. Let's see what we can find to do with this one. And this one was a request from PJ, my soon-to-be mentee. Looking forward to scheduling that with you, PJ. I think we're probably going to be looking at Sunday or next week, so I'll DM you. We'll get that sorted out. Okay. So spot, I guess I was going to say, I thought I've done some levels on it at some point, but these are way overhead levels. And not really coded the right way unless I intentionally just did a bunch of 4-hour levels, which can't see why I would do that, but let's not make things confusing. I'd rather start from scratch if I don't really remember know why I had those levels set up the way that I did. All right, so let's hammer through this. Let's get some support and resistance lined up here. All right, now we're breaking over that now. Let's see. Yeah, Spotify is can be it can move fast, so it's probably one that I should pay more attention to more often. see. All right, I don't think we're gonna need any more weekly levels to the upside. Are we gonna need any more down below? Probably one more here. Let's see. Hmm. Really surprised. Well, there we go. It's right about there. All right, let's see. I think that's good for weekly levels. Start checking out this 24-hour chart. Yeah, me too, PJ. Also looking forward to it. Let's see. Actually, before I do this, I'm kind of assuming that this has good. Yeah, maybe not actually. No, I don't want to use 24-hour chart. Let's use the daily chart. Thanks, HBach. I appreciate that. I know that, yeah, you've been around for a hot minute, so I'm glad. Hopefully, you're picking up what I'm putting down. You're applying some of the things that I'm showing you and talking about, and turning that into a successful trading system. That is why I do what I do, because I like to. I know that this is a tough process. I remember kind of being new to this many years ago, and how much of a, kind of struggle it felt like, and it just kind of seemed at some point, sort of hopeless. And then, came on board to Xtrades, learned a ton, and started applying what I was learning, and then, now's my opportunity to pay it forward. So I enjoy getting to do this stuff with you guys and gals. I shouldn't say. I use guys as sort of an overall general term, but that's probably not very PC or whatever. You know what I mean. I do not assume every person in this chat is male. All right. That's an interesting level. Definitely have some hanging out down here, but this is weird, tight little. Yeah, I do like that level though. Get that one for sure. Let's spread this out. I know there are, absolutely, and I love to see it. I think there's, to some extent, it's kind of like I believe this in golf as well, just because there's, and I say this as a compliment. Generally speaking, there's a lot less ego involved with women, which is why I think they generally make naturally better golfers, and also probably why they have some advantages from a trading standpoint as well. That ego can mess you up sometimes in your trade and in your trading, and is especially on the golf course. The guy goes up there, he wants to try to crush the ball 300 plus yards and swing for the fences, and starting out, first month of golf, and women want to go out there and just learn and make good contact, and that tends to net better results at the end of the day. At least that's what I've seen in my experience. Do not make any generalizations or blanket statements with that, or at least I don't intend to. Oh yeah, my fiance is a pretty solid golfer. So she gives me a run for my money for sure. And that's one of the things I love about her. She's competitive, and she when she wants to learn something, she goes after it. Yeah, it's problematic for sure. Um, it's an easy mindset to fall into. I mean, we're grown up, right? Being taught, from a young age, especially if you played sports growing up, like, first place or nothing, right? And so, or always strive for perfection. And I think one of the first lessons everybody needs to learn, and especially in the world of trading and what they should expect, is perfection is unattainable. It's something that will never happen. As soon as you've had a loss, you have technically can never be perfect from that point forward, and you will take a loss probably very early on. So just accept that, losses are going to happen. Nobody's perfect. But if you're smart about your trade plans, you have good risk reward, stick to your guns, stick to your TA. Don't let, emotions and ego become a driving factor in any of your trading decision making. You will start to find your account expanding probably at a rapid pace. So that's my spiel on ego and emotions in trading. And that's one of the things why, like, oh man, I get that people get excited about this stuff. And I'm sure I've said this on previous podcasts, but like, whenever I see somebody type an LFG in the chat about a trade, especially during trading hours, big, big red flag, right? Because then you're on an emotional high, right? And what are you going to do once you've experienced that emotional high? You're going to chase it, right? And then you start chasing trades, and you stop thinking with your logical, analytical brain, and you start thinking with your ego, and that's when accounts blow up. So, we're from the wise. God, I don't want to say from the wise. That's putting a lot of gravitas on myself. But I will say, it's just be cautious, right? Absolutely reward yourself for wins. The way you reward yourself is by, pulling some money out of your account and treating yourself to something nice. But really, especially if you're in the midst of a trade that's going in your favor, really try to rein in that sort of, that excitement, right? If you start feeling your heart racing, you start feeling really excited, like a, kid on Christmas who knows that, there's a Nintendo 64 in that box. So I probably dated myself super hard by saying that. If you start getting that type of feeling, take some deep breaths, walk away, set a stop loss that's, in profit or at break even, and walk away from the charts for a minute and just think about, okay, I've got a trade that's going in my favor. How do I want to handle this? And think about it versus reacting. That's my advice. Sorry, I didn't mean to turn a technical analysis session into into putting everybody on the couch. Tell me about your problems. All right, let's see. So we're testing that 185.46 level here. So my question is, what happens if we break that? Now that I'm starting to... Well, really, we're in the process of filling this big sell imbalance. We're just kind of taking our time doing it. Interesting bounce here off this level. Also kind of some interesting rejections around this one. All right. I think we could... I heard a snippet of an interview with Charlie Munger this morning. He was talking about Elon Musk. He was saying that Elon Musk is so successful, but then he leveraged himself. Yeah, Charlie Munger was a goat. Interesting guy, interesting story. Lived a very long, successful life. Rest in peace. All right, so what I'm thinking So I think we want to go after spot on a break of this 185.46 level. Whoops. Let's set this up right. Over that, I think I like 192.86. I just feel like that's almost a greedy target, but we are in the process of filling a big sell imbalance that we were just looking at. If I can get back to it, come on. There we go. The thing that concerns me a little bit is this bounce right here. That support could act as resistance. All right, I think I'm going to flip this around, actually. Let's do this. I want to switch this. Let's give this a little bit more room before we jump in, but then we can move this to our stop loss, because I expect this resistance to act as support if we can break over 188.78. So I like that setup. Gives us a tight window, but not too tight. I think that easily gets us up to 195.12. Over that, we have a weekly level right here. Generally don't like to just ignore those, but again, big sell imbalance there that's still left to fill to the upside, although that could be an earnings report. Yep. Or no, that was a lead up to the earnings report. Sold into earnings. Okay. Let's check where these indicators are sitting here current. Yeah, I'm going to change my mind on anything there. All right. Come on. Should have marked what date that was so we could just go back to it. Sorry, I'll do that this time. Let's go. All right. What are we looking at here? February 2nd, 22. So if I switch time frames, I'll know what I need to be looking for. All right. I think we can get through that 197.53 level, to be honest. I think we're shooting for 201.08 over that. Over 201.08, I like this third price target up here at 208. So to the downside, shouldn't need to go back too far to figure this one out now. We definitely have a level in here. Don't have yet, but not one that we're basing an entry off of. I think we're probably looking for a break back down below this 177.52 level. Yeah, I'll take that back. There could be an earlier entry. Or, no, actually, yeah, let's switch this up. Stick with that. Like this. That's our stop loss. 182.35. I just want to see something real quick. Maybe I use sort of minimal candle data to place that 182.35 level. I wonder if it's actually just a little bit lower, which also catches that rejection. But yeah, I think it is actually. So actually like that as our stop loss. Average down. I like this as our first price target here at 171.08. Below that, like 168.48. Yep, and then yeah, there's just 1, 2, 3 after that. 65.51. Okay, here's your Spotify trade plan. Sorry if that took a minute. I was maybe moving slower as I was talking trade psychology there. But important stuff. And again, always wins or losses. It's kind of my point. Keep those emotions in check. See a trade going red, don't start getting anxious. Unless you're threatening your stop loss level, you're still in the trade, and until that level confirms that it's broken and invalidated, don't sweat it. Just stick to your plans. You don't fail, plans get invalidated. That's a good way to put the psychology into your brain as far as being willing to take losses. It's not a failure on you as a person or human being, or any indication of you don't know what you're doing or you lack intelligence. It's just sometimes plans don't work out in trading, and that's just what it is. It's not an evaluation. All right. So for our spot trade plan, what are we looking for here? We're looking for a break over 188.78. That should give us targets at 195.12, 201.08, and then 208 flat with a stop loss average down at 185.46. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 177.52 to play targets at 171.08, 168.48, and 165.51 with a stop loss average down at 182. That is your Spotify trade plan. Go get it. Harry or micro machines. All right, sorry, I was just catching up on what you guys were talking about in the chat. Sometimes I get a little laser focused on. Give me some. Yeah, I'll take some flowers. All right, what was our next one? Let's see, Tesla and Apple from All or Nothing. He said between those two, Tesla. Let's take a look. So Tesla fighting through, and fortunately, again, I've got, I think, pretty solid levels on Tesla, so we won't have to go through that bit of the process. This will be a little bit of a quicker plan, I'm guessing. What are these trends? It's been a while since I've taken sort of a zoomed out look at Tesla. Overall, that ascending, that uptrend, still holding and still well below us. I need to clean up this chart real quick, though. I've got way too many old trade plan elements here that are gonna just distract the hell out of me. Let's see what other ones need to be cleaned up here. Actually, we'll leave those for now. Those might wind up being useful. I'll also leave that. All right, so then what is this? It's an interesting, looked like a very convincing breakout of this downtrend. I guess it really depends on what time frame I drew that on. Definitely holds up on the 4-hour. Definitely still looks like a break above on the 4-hour. And there's another bigger picture downtrend overhead. Some supply zones overhead. There's also probably one sitting. Yeah. Right here. That we're going to want to be aware of. Yeah, we got pretty close to tapping that. And this rejection. That's interesting. What is that? Is that really where that bottom of that candle? Okay, guess it is. Sorry, just looked like my magnet tool wasn't really catching the bottom of that candle the way it should have. So the thing I'm really questioning here is this still a valid downtrend? Looking at it here on the 24-hour chart, could be. I might have had it just a little too steep. Yeah, if I pick just that slight difference there, actually makes a big difference on whether or not that trend line's still in place based on this daily chart. So I think that's still a factor, to be honest. Interesting print there above it, but ultimately that looks like a rejection and could see some follow through. All right, so let's take a look at it. The chart. Let's start to pick this apart. Got an old call entry level up here, this 254.27 level. I wonder why that was interesting to me. Let's take a look at that real quick. Yeah, I kind of see what I was maybe thinking at the time. Also, don't know when I was using that level. It could have been at a totally different point in time, but based on sort of this more recent move, way down there. All right, so my concern is really getting another fake out over this trend line and using it too aggressively as a means of an entry potentially for calls. Let me get some coffee in there. All right. So, all right, I'm just really debating with myself over where this entry needs to be. Take a look at this one more time frame. All right, I think there's an opportunity potentially here over this 249.17 level. It's kind of what I was looking at on the higher time frames. Definitely be treat this first move to this first price target as almost a scalp trade, I guess. Just be ready to get out quickly if it, and make sure you move your stops into break even or profits early into this trade if we get a break over 249.7 and it continues the way I think it will. The question then is debate a little bit between price targets here. That kind of solves it for me. 251.89 be my first price target for that. Over that, we're looking at 254.27. Excuse me. And then we'll use this price target from this previous plan because I still like that right up in that supply area at 256.71. All right, so the only other question I have for myself is stop loss level on this. That's not a entry level anymore. It's either 247.14 or 246.53. Honestly, the rejections are kind of happening in that zone, so I'd say let's shoot on the higher side, limit that window of downside, set it at 247.14. For the downside trade plan, I like the break below this confluence here. It's kind of also the level I was eyeballing for an entry anyway to the downside. Gets us below this resistance, turn to support area right there and below the 200 SMA. So I like that as an entry. And then we'll flip this other price target to our stop loss level, because I do like that there. And then the question becomes first downside target. This is an interesting level right here. Just check one thing real quick. I'm not seeing enough to really bank on that, to be honest. So I think I stick with my gut down here, 239.67. It's the level I was eyeballing. Whoops, that was the wrong level. Below that, I like this next level, old entry level. You know what? I take that back actually. Looking at this, I actually like this weekly level just a little bit lower. Below that, I think we've got, yeah, there's a level here I haven't charted. don't look at the 15-minute when I'm doing my levels really ever, unless I'm trying to do sort of scalping micro levels. I'm gonna flag this because I'm also not 100% confident in it, but I do like it as a third price target for this particular trade plan. So what I'll do, because I know there's a lot of levels on this Tesla chart, let's move this over to a bit of a blank slate, if you will. That way when I post it, it'll be easy for you guys to track afterward. Yeah, we've got our old Tesla trade plan on here. We're now back testing that third price target after getting that huge run to the upside, blowing all of our price targets out of the water. Now we're back testing PT3 as support. So that's actually fairly bullish if that winds up holding, I'd say. Even though we are, again, wrestling with probably still an existing downtrend overhead. But nonetheless, and let me just check one more thing here. Oh, wait a minute, I already looked at this. Yeah, that looks, and that actually kind of adds some confluence and conviction to some of those downside levels possibly holding and being good targets as support for downside trade plans. So, let's go. This is your Tesla trade plan. All right, so just to talk through this one real quick, and then we're going to wrap it up for this morning. We are looking for a break over 249.17 with targets at 251.89, 254.27, and 256.71 with a stop loss average down at 247.14. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 242.44 with targets at 239.67, 237.11, and 234.70 with a stop loss average down at 244.11. All right, so with that, that does it for this morning's live stream, folks. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. This is the last day of November, so I hope you guys had an excellent month, had a great Thanksgiving, and are ready for December and good old Santa Claus to come down the chimney here as we go to close out 2023. Keep your eyes peeled on the announcements channel. With it being the end of the month, our monthly surveys will be posted there pretty either today or tomorrow by our fearless leader Kevin. So make sure that you're keeping your eyes peeled for that, and please make sure that you take some time to participate in those monthly surveys. They are a huge factor in how we assess our performance here at Xtrades internally. So having your feedback is absolutely critical to make sure that we are continuing to push for bigger and better things for this group based on your input. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure that you vote when you see that survey come out. Again, that'll be posted either probably end of day today or sometime tomorrow in the announcements channel. Like Chris said, every vote counts. And as we always say here on the FOMO live stream, plan your trades, trade your plans, go out there and get some green. Thank you so much for joining me today. We'll be back next Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, for those of you who are Xtrades members here with us in the Discord every day, I will see you guys in the chats. I hope you guys have a great day. Go out there, get some green. Take care.